SoFi stock breaking news. The reason why SoFi stocks is collapsing today. Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, money makers. We're going to talk about what's going on with the stock market having its worst day in a very long time. Let's get into it. Please read the disclaimer. So right now, SoFi stock is sitting at $15.69. SoFi stock is down 8.5% on the day. The stock market took a tumble. It's not just SoFi stock. You can see AMD down 11%, Micron down 12%. All these stocks down 13, 16, 15, 16. Wow. And the NASDAQ down 4.45%, S&P 500 down 2.43%, and the VIX is up 24.22% up to 19 here today. I'll explain in just a second why the VIX is so important. But first, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Well, first news actually that has nothing to do with the rest of the market, but has to do with SoFi stock. There was no stocks today that were added to the S&P 500. People were hoping maybe Avgo, maybe others, but no. So it didn't happen for SoFi. That's not why SoFi stock is selling off, but we were talking about the potential manipulation that was happening before today that brought SoFi stock down. And we might be, I think we can delete the double bottom because that's not going to happen, but maybe we could get a triple bottom, and we'll talk about why. But we came out here today, and the reason why the stock market is dropping like this is the fact that we had the job report come in better than expected. So you might be saying to yourself, Avi, isn't that a good thing? Well, theoretically, it should be a good thing, but I'll explain in just a second. If you haven't seen my other channel, I'll explain. Don't worry. The US economy adds 172,000 jobs in May, crushing expectations of 85,000. So basically double, right? And this is a huge, huge number for jobs. And then you have unemployment rate was 4.3, which was in line. April job number was also revised up 64,000 jobs. This marks the strongest US job report in 13 months. And you can see the White House calling the numbers outstanding, and President Trump saying that stocks should go up, not down after today's job report. Growth does not mean inflation, he says. How else can a country attain greatness, right? He says that's the way it was been for 200 years. So basically, what's going on here is the Fed is in a tricky situation because historically, when you have a recession, you usually have high interest rates because they raise the interest rates to battle inflation, but you also have a weak job market. People don't have money, and then inflation will eventually come down and they start reducing interest rates and it's all good. But what we have right now is high inflation because of war and everything and other stuff as well, the pandemic, where they pumped so much money into the market, and we're still feeling that 6 years later, we're still feeling it. And if people have jobs, right, Americans especially, you have jobs, you spend, right? Most Americans don't think about saving. You maybe because you're watching a stock video, but most Americans don't think about saving. They like spending, okay? So if they're spending, producers have no reason to reduce prices and prices stay high. And if the Fed starts reducing interest rates, so now money becomes cheaper, people start taking out more loans to buy stuff, and then prices go even more high. So this is a very tricky situation, and the market is not liking it at all. At all. And this, we talked about how the possibility that the market is so strung up on the current situation that any kind of bad news could send everything selling off. And that's what we're seeing here today. And specifically SoFi stock it's just moving with the algos, right? I mean, if you look at a different stock, it looks pretty similar, right? SoFi, Intel, like they look pretty similar today. AMD, like they all look pretty similar, right? They just all kind of fell off a cliff. Crypto is doing really bad today as well. Precious metals are doing really bad. Gold, silver. Silver is having one of its worst days in a very long time. hasn't been at these levels since back in March. So the whole oil is actually dropping too. I don't know if that's good, right? Oil's dropping too. And now we talked about the VIX, right? How the VIX is, if the VIX is close to 20, that's usually means that the market is a little bit fearful, right? The whole time that we were at war there, the VIX was over 20. And since we had the ceasefire, so basically we saw the VIX come down and it got all the way to 15. And, Mike says here, the rule is usually you want to get into the market when the VIX is 30 and you want to buy when it's even higher, right? Even more, but you want to sell when we're getting close to 14. And we actually didn't get to 14, but anything under 15 is pretty bullish. And that's usually a top, right? Although December of 2025, yeah, it wasn't that much of a top, but it did pull back after that. So look at this. Wow. Like this is one of the biggest, it's probably the biggest sell-off that we've had of the year, probably basically since March. Maybe March we had bigger, but percentage-wise, I don't know. But the NASDAQ is just getting destroyed. I don't think that we've seen a biggest candle here since maybe here in November of 2025. So very interesting situation. I warned you guys about this, that this was a possibility that we would see the stock market sell off significantly. And it happens. This is something that happens right now. The probabilities of the Fed reducing interest rates are 3.3%. So even with the new Fed chairman, Kevin Warsh, we're not seeing a situation where the probabilities of reducing the interest rates are going up for reduction. We're seeing either flat or a little bit for even a raise, which would be kind of bonkers. But that is a possibility that is on the table right now. And so we'll see how the markets play out. Maybe because it's Friday, so we see we potentially will see a comeback here. Sometimes Friday, you see a comeback towards the last hour, and that's in 5 minutes. So power hour, they call it. Sometimes you see a comeback, or even in the last like 10, 15 minutes, maybe this gets closed because short sellers don't want to hold positions over the weekend. So they start releasing a little bit. And when you have a big dip, right, because they're in profit, they don't want to take the risk that if they hold the position over the weekend and Monday morning we get some good news, or over the weekend you get good news, so it might flip on them. So many times you'll see Friday after a big sell-off, you see kind of a comeback there towards the last hour. Again, it's not something that for sure happens, but it's something that I've seen in the past, and that is a possibility that we could see here happen. So again, you might be watching this video and SoFi stock is a little bit higher or a little bit lower. So know that is what is going on. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. And like I always say, let's make a lot of money.